Welcome, everyone. This is really more Stanford focused. So yes, awesome. I still have my memory. Thanks, David. Yeah, so this is really more Stanford focused, but of course, anyone can listen in, and it's also more of a demo of our Stanford Sites platform. So I'll give you a little history. Oh, first of all, I'm Cynthia Mijares. I work in Stanford Web Services, and we are kind of like a web agency centrally, for the university, and we support many schools and departments and etc. So last year with our Drupal 8, we started more of a software as a service platform. So prior to that, we had a product that was more of a starting point, and everything was custom. So there was never one site that was exactly like another. So because of the maintenance and the overhead, that technical overhead that comes along with trying to, every time something comes out, making sure it's still going to work on every site that you ever had, ever. We moved to a software as a service kind of product. So now with software as a service, everything is a baseline, and we're still able to do custom things, but you move over to a different hosting platform. So now everyone on campus gets everything, all the goodies whenever something is released. Everyone gets the goodies all at the same time, and there's no conflicts, and we really have a lot more control over that. So I know it's kind of like it's a plus and a minus. Like, yes, Stanford Web Services has all the control over the product, which gives people flexibility and not as much flexibility, right? So you have flexibility to build out various layouts, and I'll get into that. So I'm going to actually share my screen here. Let's see. I was telling Claire I made a mad dash to Starbucks right before this because I had no internet connection. They made a mad dash home, and it's working now, so that's good. Hopefully it stays. So anyways, let me share my screen. I see my buddy Mark joined. Welcome. I don't know if you've ever sat in on our intro sites training class, so cool you're here. Okay, so what I'm sharing is our Stanford Sites user guide, and basically this is a class that we run every month. So because of the transition from Drupal 7 to Drupal 8, now Drupal 9, we wanted a place for people to go find out how to do stuff, or how to launch your site, or why are things different in this platform. So everything I refer to is here on this intro to Stanford Sites site. And I don't know if you can see the URL, but let me post it in chat so you can follow along. Chat. Okay. And if you do get to this page, there's a link to the training demo site, which is basically what I'm going to be using today. So the way that this new software as a service called Stanford Sites works is that it's based off of paragraphs. And I always refer to Legos. So, Legos, you can stack them however many different ways you want. You've got your blue Lego, which may be a banner, and the green Legos are cards, and you can just do different layout variations, which gives the editor so much flexibility, right? But the part that they don't have as much control over is, or actually don't have any control over, is changing colors, changing fonts, all of those like special look and feel things. We really lock that down, so that way it's easier for us to push out updates across the entire service. So here is our intro to Stanford Sites. And let's see how much I can get through in the next 35 minutes or so, right? This goes to 145? Yeah, okay, thanks, Claire.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so this basically is kind of like what you would get out of the box, not exactly like this because I've been tinkering with it, but you've got a starting point with some banners, some text areas, here's some various different cards, and maybe let me make sure I'm at 100%. Looks like other people have been playing with it too, because I was like, I don't remember adding these things. So various different cards, different text areas that you can align left, right, center, which gets a lot of people pretty far because now you can center your headlines and people are happy. There's various different button styles. Again, there's that banner. You could have an overlay text or not. We added something called a spacer just for alignment. Like if you had 3 cards in a row and then the second row only had 2 cards. Sometimes it's nice to add that spacer on the end so all your cards are the same height. So there's a little bit of flexibility there. Here's some media with captions. So you can link, maybe have an image gallery, although that is now a thing as well, or a video library. Looks like I also added a little sort of list here. We can do lists and teasers of various different news items or events or people, and then down to our footer. So we moved the login down here to the bottom for those Stanford folks who are following along. I should have got a like, hey, who's from Stanford or who's not from Stanford? Maybe you can shout out in chat if you are here at Stanford. Okay.
Cynthia, just really quick.
Yeah.
Sharon has a question. Will Stanford Sites allow admin access or at least ability to create custom content types, taxonomies, and views? Do you want to address these after? Or
no, happy to address as we go along, because I'll just go, I'll show as much as I can and we'll just address issues or questions that come up. But yes, you can have admin access, not on Stanford Sites. So you would have to host your site on a different hosting environment. Like they have we're hosted on Acquia. So they have Acquia Cloud or Acquia Cloud Enterprise. So there's various different ways, but you just need to move it to a different hosting platform. Or it's still Acquia, I should say. Oh, there's always, actually, I think it just has to stay in Acquia. I'm pretty sure for you to get the continuous updates. And Mark's on here. Mark can correct me if I'm wrong. But not in the free version. The free version, we're not allowed to get full admin access. You do have access to Layout Builder, which I won't really get into today. But that's another option for maybe creating a template or something like that for your pages. Alrighty, so if you are at Stanford and you click that web login and this was your site, you would automatically have permissions to edit. You can see the bar changed at the top, and if I hover over, there's the edit buttons now. And I'm just going to jump to something. Let's just go here because this is a pretty juicy looking page. With code updates. Oh, that was Sharon. Did I answer your question, Sharon? Hopefully.
Yes, you answered the question with the one remaining question being if we, get moved to a different site, is there an option that still has Stanford Web Services doing the code updates, or do we have to then be responsible for that if we move to this?
Yeah, if you are moving over to, well, there's both. You would either work with Stanford Web Services to do the updates for you. So there would be a support retainer kind of thing with the department. Otherwise, you would take care of all of that.
All right. So there is an option where the department itself doesn't have to do the updates, but we pay for it. Okay, great. Correct. That does answer my question.
Yeah, awesome. So here's that, the back end. You can see how I was talking about that Lego kind of breakout system here. And you can see how everything's sort of stacked. There are various different ways you can edit each individual, what we call paragraph. And these are all the paragraphs I talked about earlier, which are all labeled with a nice, cute little icon. So you can edit each paragraph individually here. And this is your basic WYSIWYG. Let me know if there's anyone who is not familiar with Drupal at all, then I will kind of slow down and get into a little bit more detail. But otherwise, I'm assuming that most people do have some Drupal background, or at least some background with a content management system. So I won't really get into all of that, but your basic WYSIWYG here. One thing I always like to do when, let me go down to show you an example. When I create a new thing, it's called text area. And I always like to recommend that you label that. So there's an admin label. So this could be contact info or something. So that way, when I'm looking at a sea of squares and I just need to update that contact info, I can find it easily. So I'm just going to add a little something here. That's a lot of contact info. So that's how you would add. You can either drag things to a new row on its own, or you can drag it to an existing row. And you can see below that it says drag and drop paragraph into a row, and you can have 3 per row, except for the banners, because banners are always full width, right? So I could drag it in here and add another text area. And I could also rearrange my rows up and down, which is convenient. So editing within the paragraph itself, you can also delete individual items on its own or delete the entire row. I wonder if I edit the row, what's going to happen? No fields to edit. Yeah. I wonder if I edit this row, what's going to happen? I haven't actually tried that out. Doesn't look like you can edit the row. You can delete a row. Okay. So that's pretty much the editing side. Dragging and dropping it's all using React. So that's a fun tool. Here's our banner at the top. A couple things of note. I will say, this is the home page, so I won't mess with that. But let me just save this and see what we did. And I'll go to an underlying page or create a new page. So there's our 2 text areas. This is super convenient. I know a lot of people really love that whole column thing or newspaper kind of layout of putting boxes next to each other. So now we can do that. Okay, so if we are creating pages and adding media, everything's done up here in all content. I'm just going to add a basic page. It's webcam. So now we have a new page. I'm going to add a card. Most of these things are all of these things are fieldable. So pretty self-explanatory where we're adding, here's our label. Here's where we're going to add images, and we have a media library that has images populated in it as soon as you get one out of the box. I have added several over time, but every time you add an image, it stays in your media library. Same thing with videos, files, embeddables, all different kinds of Google Forms, things like that. They'll all stay in your media library, so you have access to them from any page in your site, which is very convenient. Okay, I'm gonna go with this cute bird. I'll just add superhead so we can see what that looks like. If you are from Stanford, and I'm just gonna keep saying that because I'm not really sure other than David and Sharon maybe who is, superheads are a great way to organize your content if you have categories like a research section or something for faculty or students. It's a nice way to have a mini label and then on top of your headline. So if this was for students. I'll just say move-in day, something. I'm just going to shorten up my card. So you can see the card actually has a little bit simplified styles because the card is just that. We just wanted to keep it simple, and it's more of a gateway to some other content in your site or a gateway to somewhere else. So you can add a URL link to somewhere externally, or you can add it to someplace within your site as by just starting to type the name of the page and then selecting it from a dropdown. So you notice that it did like a node 7 instead of, I was trying to get to the resources page. But the cool thing about that now is that if I change resources, if I change the page title and there's a redirect, it's not going to break. So it's always going to know that it's going to go to node number 7. Here's my text. I don't know. Oops, sorry. Gosh. And I have an option of a display for a button or an action link. Just leave it. A button. Okay. All of that really, as we're creating a new page, what I wanted to show really is down here in the menu settings. Currently it's not in the menu, but if I check this and just provide a menu link, you'll see that it automatically gives me my page title. And I'm here at the main top level navigation. So I can leave it here and I can move it to wherever I want it to go in the navigation, or I can select a different parent. And I've been going to the about page because that's my fave. So here I selected a new parent, and that's the about section. And once again, here's webcam, and I can drag that to where I want that to go in my sidebar menu. And we'll take a look at that. Another thing, if you are collaborating or working on a page, you can always unpublish it for now and continue to work on that until it's ready for public consumption. So I'm just going to save it as unpublished so you can see what that looks like. You can see that it's got a nice little banner that says, hey, this is unpublished. And also if I'm in the sidebar, it will also show as unpublished. So this was a big win for us, because a lot of times you'll have an unpublished page, it won't show up in the navigation and people will not remember where it is, or they'll create a new one. And it's also nice to see it kind of like how it would actually look if it was live. So here's my card. Okay. We have several minutes, still a good 15 minutes or so. I'm with Stanford too. Hi, Diane. Heidi. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. I'm just peeking over at chat.
Hello, hello.
So, cool. We do also have structured content types. So I probably won't dive into them that much, but we have currently in our content, we've got event series, which is, I always like to put a plug in for that because it's a way to categorize if you've got like a seminar every week, you know, just have an Uber page for that weekly seminar, and all of your seminar content, upcoming events will show up there. And then there's the all events, there's news, person, publications, all structured content. Let's see. One of the, what I was going to show you, media library. So if I go to all content, it's going to show me all the content in our site. So you can easily find things that way as well. But there's also all media. So it shows me all the media. One tip I always like to say is if you are uploading images, you know, as your site grows and you have 50, 100 images, and you're trying to find that image of Princess Akachi. And you're like, oh my gosh, where's that image of Princess Akachi? And fortunately, this one is named actually, Princess, but there are definitely other images in here that, let me find one as an example. Here, for instance, image, you see this all the time. Image, so-and-so number, or you see screenshot, so-and-so number, and nobody's going to remember what that is. So I could go in and edit this if I want to, and call it, what is that? Oh, it's bread. Okay. I think she actually made that. Bread. So I can rename that. So when I'm searching for it later, it'll show up. Since I'm here, I just want to show off another really cool feature. As you can see here, hopefully you can see that there's this little cross in the middle of the image. And that's there for really adjusting where you want your center or focal point for cropping. So it'll roughly crop around that crosshair. So it's more important, as you upload people's faces, we don't want to have chopped foreheads or stuff like that. So it's nice to center it right there in the middle of your face. So that's a nice feature. Save that. Another nice tip that I like to recommend is if you are doing something like a people page or you're migrating content over and you just need to do a bunch of news images, you can upload images in bulk. So if I go to all media, here, add media. You can upload them one at a time, or you can upload multiples. So here's how you add multiple files all at once, and you just drag and drop them in there. Nice thing is when you do drag and drop, it gives you the opportunity to set each one, set the alt text, you can set the focal point for each one as you save. But I don't think I'll do that right now. Okay. We've covered a ton in basic page. Let me show you some other stuff. How to request a site. Yeah. That's Heidi, right? So Heidi, are you on campus? Stanford? Yes.
I am, but I'm currently work from home.
Oh, yeah. So am I in my beautiful.
So are most of us right now.
I know. Yeah. So the site that I started with here is called the userguide.sites.stanford.edu.
Okay.
And literally the next one is how do I request a new site?
Thanks so much. I'm sorry I was late, guys.
No, no worries. And it's under the get started section. Yeah, I'd rather well, if you camp, I'd rather talk to people than hear my own voice. We always say it's camp. Okay, so let's go look at some other fun things. This is another feature called Image Gallery, which kind of looks like that media with caption where you can, add a bunch of images and they're clickable. The difference with the image gallery is that it actually has a pop-up window. So you can see your images larger than life, right? You can add optional caption text. So you can go through all of your images individually here, or just close the gallery. So that is cool. These are also things that you can pull in on other pages, which is fun. People, since we're going all over this, each of these structured content types has a landing page which you may choose to use or not. So a couple things to think about is if you have a lot of people, or if you don't have very many people, maybe you're not going to use an all page. The value in having this is that all of your taxonomy terms if you have any, are here on the sidebar. So you don't need to do that drop down filtering like we've seen a lot of. Everything's exposed. If you want to have a separate page and just have a people landing page and actually have a page for students so you can add more content to it around it, you can do that too using lists. So here's people. Again, everything is automatically done. There's an opportunity to have a secondary layer for the taxonomy terms. So this is like the primary one. And if you choose faculty, then it will show up. So let's go to Stephen as an example. So here I chose faculty and then lecturer. If I say, I wonder if I can do faculty again. Yeah. I could say he is also an assistant professor. But depending on what I choose, so if I say student, oh wow, okay, there's granular levels. If I say staff, oh, there's also granular level. I wonder if, I think I could just get rid of that one. Okay. Since we're here, you can see the all the fields that are associated with a person. It's almost the same, you know, except there's specific fields. Thing with structured content is that there are structured content fields, but you'll see there's components. So just like the basic page, I can add another card, I can add a text area, I can add a banner specific to this person, which is fun. I can add a video if they're in a video to that person's page. And it's only going to be on this person's page, not all people's pages. Contact information, URL, research affiliations, Stanford affiliations, there's lots. And if you're on Stanford campus, this also can be integrated with Stanford profiles. So we could pull in all of your staff, faculty, grad students, I believe are in Stanford profiles as well, but we can pull them into the site so you don't need to create those. Okay. So that's people, news. Again, this is sort of that landing page, but okay. Just looking over our chat again. It looks a little different. You can see that how it's structured. Here's a news page, nice social media stuff, larger images. And these are all, I think these are all components, things that are added after the fact with more news at the bottom. And then events. Events is also, you could do multi-day events, single-day events, conferences, all kinds of stuff. You'll see that, I should have mentioned this, but you'll see this external icon link that shows up if it goes off the site. That's one of those usability nice things to have. So you're letting your user know that, hey, if you click on this, you're actually going to leave our website. So that's just something nice they added. Excuse me. And here's that series. Sorry. Okay. What else is cool? There's this alert thing at the bottom, at the top here. So most everything we've been doing is all in content, adding content, editing content, adding media, all that stuff. But under configuration, there are several things here under system where you can go change your local footer. There are lockup settings. So if you have a logo, you want to change, the lockup refers to Stanford, you know, this whole, they call that the lockup. So you have options for that. depending on what school you're in. Some people have like humanities and sciences underneath the whole thing, but you'll have to check with your department on what your lockup should look like. There is something called global message, and that's where that alert is. So we started seeing this a lot, especially with COVID, right? That every site out there has like a little alert bar at the top for COVID information. So we also have something like that. We could enable it or disable it just with that little checkbox. There are various different colors. So depending on your message, it also, depending on the message and also the color you choose, it shows a little different icon. So if I say critical alert, and we'll just leave that as that. And save. It says, yeah, save. You can see there's a different alert icon here. So that's the global message. And we go down to the footer. Footer, again, you can enable or disable the entire footer. If your site's just a page, maybe you don't need it. But here's a place for an address. Here's a place for those action and social links that if you don't want, you can just delete it. You don't need it. I'm just going to undo that. If I want to reorder it, again, I can just use these drag handles. Social links, again, if I delete it, if you don't have one, or you can continue to add. We've got most of them, like most of the big ones. Maybe YouTube we don't have up here, which is also pretty popular. A lot of people have a Stanford YouTube channel now. Section for primary links and secondary links. And this is, you know, we labeled it for you, but you can call it whatever you want. Maybe you want to call it your affiliated organizations or something, right? Again, if you don't need it, just, you know, delete them. Sign up form, if you're using MailChimp, place for that. Login, we don't really touch. Local lockup. This is the place where you can see all the various different options and lines. So here's all the, I just want to show lines 1, 2, and 3. Tons of different options to do your lockups. And you can also choose a different logo image there. And the last section is various different content blocks. So I know like student affairs, all the organizations in student affairs have that paragraph. Like I'm, you know, so-and-so is part of the student affairs. So that's a nice way to add those. Okay. After you've played around with your site and it's time to launch it. All of these sites are, you'll see that it has the name that you request, .sites.stanford.edu, which means it's in development mode. It's not crawlable or searchable by any search tools. Like Google doesn't know about it yet until you actually launch it. And that information is over here as well in the user guide. How do I request? How do I log? Maybe it's not on this page. It's probably down here. There, launch. Yeah. So, oh, it's under support. That's fine.
How did you get there again? I'm sorry, I missed the.
Yeah, so how to launch your site? It's under support.
Under support. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Launching your site. Yeah, it's the first one.
Cool, thanks.
Everything I've been showing as well is kind of in this tour section. So all of those content types, various different, how to add taxonomy terms, or edit the ones that we provide for you. That's all in here as well.
That's a great section of the site for
Yeah.
the user guide. That's where I send people most of the time.
Awesome. Yeah, and if you have, if you're asking or wondering a question, support, I believe also, yeah, there's a place for ServiceNow. Or if you have a suggestion or something, there is the, well, I don't know if Sites Advisory is open to everybody, but there's definitely the Drupal Slack channel where you can ask a question, and all of us are all in there. So we always see what's coming in. And there's no question that's too, simple or complex. That
Can
just,
someone post that to the chat? Do you mind? The Drupal Slack? I have
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
experience whatsoever, so I'm jumping in
Yeah.
with both feet.
can you
Okay.
hop on that one, Claire?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, we do have like 5 minutes left, so I want to kind of open it up for people who have questions or are looking at this and say, hey, can you show me how to do something? All right, I'm gonna show you a couple other cool things that are in here, which I love. In the WYSIWYG, we've got this nice accessibility thing here. Is Amy still on here? I don't know. I think she left. But she would be so proud. There is an accessibility icon here that if you just click that, it scans through your content and it tells you, hey, paragraphs must not be used for headers. So this person made it bold. They wanted it to stand out. And if they wanted it truly to be a header, I could just say quick fix. And did it fix it? I think it did. Let's see. There's another one. This one, it looks like it wants me to make this a list. Yes, which makes sense. I'm going to ignore that because if I fix it, then I'm going to have my numbered list with actually the one and a parentheses. So I'll fix it after. I'm going to ignore that. And data tables should contain a header. So I'm going to just quick fix that as well. Oh, did I not fix that? Oh, maybe I have to choose a heading. There it is. And that's the last one, right? One of one, which I can go in and fix. So I'm going to actually make that a numbered list, and then I can go in and clean this up. But it's really nice, if you're copying and pasting content over, to run that accessibility check. And the other tip I would say is if you're copying and pasting content over, is to just select all your content and clean it up. So there is another little icon in here. Where is that? Oh, I thought it was in here. Maybe we got rid of it. It's not here anymore. Bummer. It's too bad. Anyways, there used to be like, clean up, remove formatting button. I don't see it anymore. If there is something funky, you can always look at the source code and clean up that if you're familiar with HTML. But if not, then another great tip is to work in Google Docs, because Google Docs can copy and paste content over pretty cleanly. Like it'll know that a heading to is a heading to, etc. Okay, so those are some fun things. Another thing that I always like to comment on is if I'm inserting an image or a video, it's this little icon here. It looks like a picture and music. So it brings me to the media library, and I'm just going to insert a video because we haven't done that. So there's all these other various things, but again, with videos, you can copy and paste something from YouTube. I've been adding a few, and literally it's so nice and easy. You don't need to go to the embed code anymore. You can just come in here, and I'm just gonna grab something from Stanford, and I can just grab this URL at the top, or I can share and grab this URL here. I'm gonna copy that. Before when you shared, you had to go, where is that? This whole embed code, we don't need that anymore. So it's easily, you can just copy the URL at the top or share and grab the URL there. So I'm just gonna paste that URL in, add it, save it, and insert. Here's my video. One more minute. I'm just going to show you on images, because there are several things that you can do with images. So I'm just going to do this one here. Bird. Here's my media item, which is massive, right? So I'm just going to go in and edit that. I have several display options, so I can do everything from a circle to various different sizes, large, medium, thumbnail. I'm just going to go with a circle, and I want to float that so my text will wrap. And I'm going to float it over to the right. And I can add a caption if I want. I'm just going to save. So there's my cute little bird over there. That's a big one I always get asked. How do I do that? How do I wrap my text around?
Yeah.
I know I did that super fast. So all of that how-to stuff is also in the user guide. Okay. I will say, if you are on Stanford campus, I do a little bit more formal demo training once a month. We just did one last Friday, so our next one will be in May. Let me look it up for you real quick. And I believe to get to that training, it might be in the user guide too. I'm not sure. Or it's in the adoption, like D8 adoption. Let me find that. Continue. Let me just save this page.
Would it be it's in the user guide somewhere, or is there a or is it tech training?
Not tech training. Tech training also does a more in-depth, like 3-hour session. And they'll go over everything on the basic page, like card, banner. They'll go over every single paragraph type and show you every single field, and you can create one. But it is a 3-hour training class. I am meeting with them soon to figure out if they are going to expand their offerings and do a little bit more structured content. And we are also looking at doing maybe an extended version of our 1-hour long monthly training, and tacking on like, hey, let's dive more into people this month, and talk a little bit more about that. But today was definitely informal. So thanks for bearing with me. But yeah, that is Stanford Sites. I always just say, go to the user guide.
Yeah, the user guide is very helpful. I just also posted a link. It's in the user guide too, but for the Drupal resources at Stanford. So there's the Slack information about the Drupal Slack channels in there, the Drupal community in general. There's other links in there in that link.
Thank you, Claire.
Yeah.
Has anyone gone to any cool sessions so far, or recommending a good session? How many other sessions are there? Are we done for the day?
That's a really good question. Let me look. No, we have one at, am I in the right day? Yeah, we have one at 2. Yeah, we have 2. Actually, we have 2 sessions at 2.
Oh.
One is discussing front-end visual regression testing.
Oh.
And then the other one is upgrading to backdrop CMS from Drupal 7. So.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah.
Visual regression testing is is big. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's super helpful.
Yeah. And then tomorrow we have, oh, and then at 3 o'clock, we're supposed to have that social hour. If you want to join us for social hour in the community room, which is the main link on the homepage, there's a community room. So
Yeah,
there's that at
awesome.
3 too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, that was a whirlwind. Did you ever attend my actual formal monthly training class, Claire?
Me? No, I don't think I ever have.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's definitely, it's a little more formal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, it's yeah. And but this is so I do a lot of training too with the Stanford Earth folks, and Diane is
good.
still here. Diane, I think she might have left. But Diane's one of my buddies there. Anyway, and so but we do a lot of this, and I send people to your guide all the time. So yeah, and it's really kind of fun because then they might go then you can ask questions, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
Do you, are you doing that like one-on-one, or are you doing a group like, hey, everyone come in?
Yeah, mostly I've
on a
been like,
website?
well, one-on-one a lot, and then I have small groups. But I'm thinking about doing bigger ones just because, for those that really use this a lot.
Mhm.
All of our lab sites are moving to this platform, so
Yeah,
all of those people will need some kind of training. So I'm thinking about doing bigger group trainings, just so I don't have to do 100 different one-on-one sessions. Just
yeah, we've been recording ours, and we keep talking about trying to grab snippets
Mhm.
to have available maybe in the user guide. Like there's a editing of paragraph, like maybe there's little snippets we can have a video.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Oh.
Then we need a video editor.
Yeah, right. So I have not for this yet, but that's a really good idea. I've done screen captures for other
yeah.
things on
Yep.
short ones. Like I don't want to do anything that's like people, you can't watch those things forever.
Yeah.
But I've done like 5 minutes or less videos on screen captures, which is kind of handy if you're showing like one thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's another good idea too. Maybe I'll do more of those.
Since Sharon's on here, I was going to ask if you have had the ability to, or have you had the opportunity to create some Stanford sites yet? And if you have, I'm guessing you're running up to a wall and running up to the limit, and you want to do more. I think so, because she asked about being able to be having full admin access.
Oh yeah. But it is definitely much easier to use than Drupal 7 ever was. I mean, Drupal 7 was nice because you could customize a lot of things, but so it's great that it's easier. And then there's other things that I know you guys are in the working on and enhancing it as time goes on and you're developing things. So there's other things that like nice to have kind of things that, and you've heard or you already know what mine are. So I'm not going to
Yes. And actually, I don't know if you tuned in, Rebecca showed paragraph variants.
Oh no.
She did it at 12. So there are already, it's in the works. Paragraph variants are already showing up on the OOD sites like Giving, the alumni, and then they're going to be doing paragraph variants for School of Engineering. That's sort of our test run to see what does a custom theme look like, because that would end up being custom.
Yeah.
Work,
Which
so, yeah,
we've always thought would be kind of cool since we have so many Earth Lab websites.
Yeah.
We talked about having a Earth custom. Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah. Or a sub-site will be coming along. Maybe you have an Uber site and all the labs are one Uber site and with subsites.
Yeah. True.
Depending on how many labs there are. I don't know if that could get overly complicated.
Oh, I would never do it with our labs. If a lab, like there's a lab and then it might be related to an affiliate program, that might be a good use of that. But yeah, we have like 95 lab websites or something. It's so that it wouldn't work. But maybe if there's a really good relationship between two or three labs, that would be good.
Yeah. And I know, I think if David's still on here, tickets is probably one of those that will probably fall in custom land. Because tickets is one of those like
Oh,
very rich with stuff. David's guess. Yeah. The other thing, since people are on here, and if you are creating a site, the reason it looks great, I mean, there's a lot of white space for, you know, less cognitive overhead and just breathing room, and all the high definition retina screens are making everything so intense. We want to give everything a little bit more breathing room, but imagery is really making sites these days. And Amy June had a session the other day on accessible media, which was awesome.
mhm.
But yeah, image choices, image selection, you know, to actually represent content is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you can also have decorative images too, but I mean, you can see that this homepage, and I think I'm still sharing my screen, yeah. The homepage, if it was just a wall of text, it just wouldn't have us, like here's my wall of text, maybe some headings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what a lot of stuff looks like. So add a
Yeah.
banner.
I know. And it's nice to have those images to break things up and visually represent that section, you know,
Yeah.
even if it's not, the picture isn't exactly about that section, you know, sometimes it doesn't matter. It brings that the color to the page, and it, you know, as long as it's not overwhelming. I think we have, I don't know how many other people experience this, but we have a lot of people that want to use infographics, and it's really
Mhm.
hard. And how do you put anything in the alt text for screen readers? It's like, how you know what I mean? So there's a lot of issues around that. We try to avoid those, but sometimes they're
Yeah.
so useful. So it's really hard to make those accessible.
Yeah. Yeah, and then embeddable iframes and stuff like that
Yeah.
for that more complicated stuff. Anyways.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you. I'm glad I made it back.
I know, me too.
And for people who are on here and you need some image ideas, of course, there's Sally, you know, SALLIE, which is the Stanford Image Repository. But there's also unsplash.com, which is like a go-to, and Pexels, PEXELS,
Yeah.
which are free images. I'm starting to use them a ton. Pexels, yeah, thank you. And then on Splash in here. Oh, you got it.
Sorry.
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, those are great ones. I think Pexels also has little clips, so you can do Giphies, you can do little video clips of like an animated thing. You want to add something. So anyways.
That's always a challenge too.
More fun stuff. Yeah.